Hi there BookTube, it's Eleanor here, and today I'm doing my BooktubeSFF Babbles video. As you may remember from my fantasy video a couple of weeks ago, I am relatively new to the SFF genre in terms of most people. I've only been reading it for maybe a year or so, and so there are a lot of books I haven't read. So I find it very difficult in the videos for favourites because I don't feel like I've read enough to actually tell you favourites, so to speak. I've got some that I've liked, but I haven't read enough, I feel, to be making it a balanced video. So for this video, which is meant to be our science fiction recommendations, I've picked 9, I think, science fiction books off my shelf that I haven't read yet, but I own and want to read. And I'm just going to look at them with you and tell you a bit about the synopsis, and then let's chat in the comments. If you've read any of these, let me know. So these are the science fiction books on my shelf that I most want to get to soon. So the first book I've got is Snow Crash by Neal Stephenson. I read Seven Eves by Neal Stephenson and I enjoyed it, but I didn't enjoy it as much as a lot of people. I found it a little bit too technology heavy for me. So I heard good things about this one and I thought, well, I don't want to ever give up on an author just from one reading, so I picked up this one, and this will be my second try of Neal Stephenson to see if I enjoy it. This one says, enter the metaverse, cyberspace home to avatars and software demons, where anything and just about everything goes. Newly available on the street, the metaverse's main drag is Snow Crash, a cyber drug. Trouble is, Snow Crash is also a computer virus and something more, because once taken, it infects the person behind the avatar. Snow Crash bleeds into reality, which is really bad news for Hero, freelance hacker and metaverse's best sword fighter. He wrote the code, and YT, skateboard courier, street imp and mouthy teenage girl, because reality was shitty enough before someone started messing with it. Exploring linguistics, religion, computer science, politics, philosophy, cryptography and the future of pizza delivery, Snow Crash is a riveting breakneck adventure into the fast approaching future. And I think I picked this one up specifically of his books because it just sounded really fun, a little bit Ready Player One-ish in terms of the video game aspect. Obviously not everything is like Ready Player One, and I just thought it sounded like a good adventure story and one that I could get stuck into. So if you've read this, let me know. And then on the more literary science fiction side, I have The Sparrow by Mary Doya Russell. I don't know much about this one. I know that it involves religion. I believe it involves humans going to another distant, or travelling to a distant planet in order to carry religion and faith to the people there, but I could be wrong. I don't know an awful lot about this one. It's had really, I mean, it won the 1998 Arthur C. Clarke Award, and its blurbs say compulsive reading and maybe the year's best science fiction novel, so that must have been when this came out. But I have heard really good things, and so I'd be interested if any of you have read this, what your thoughts were on it. Next up is Flux by Daniel Suarez. I just thought this sounded really interesting. It's about a scientist who manages to he creates a breakthrough device that can reflect gravity, but before anything can happen, an organisation comes in and shuts it down and puts him into a high-tech prison for sort of scientific geniuses, and this society is there to sort of stop social upheaval by the breakthrough of new sort of revolutionary technology, and this professor needs to then try and break free. I just thought it sounded like a bit of a romp and quite interesting. Next up is one that most of you will have heard of, Ancillary Justice by Leckie. From what I can gather, this is about an AI who then has to go on a mission, and I've heard it's brilliant. It's a trilogy, I think, or at least a series. I know there's 2 or 3 books out. I've heard wonderful things about this and I really need to get to it soon, so this looks like a good science fiction story, but let me know what you think. Next up is Speak by Luisa. This is one that I I heard about recently and just thought sounded really good. The back says, from a pilgrim's girl's diary to a traumatised child talking to a software program, from Alan Turing's conviction in the 1950s to a genius imprisoned in 2040 for creating illegal lifelike dolls, all these humans' lives have shaped and changed a single artificial intelligence, Mary 3. In Speak, she tells you their story and her own. It is the last story she will ever tell, spoken both in celebration and in warning. So yeah, this sounds really intriguing, and I don't know if you can tell, it might be making your eyes go funny too, but this is all written in sort of like double, so it looks all sort of blurry, which is why it probably looks to you like my camera isn't focused, but it is. From looking at some of these stories now, there does seem to be a bit of a pattern emerging. The next one is Neuromancer, William Gibson. I think I must have sort of a science fiction affiliation with video games and things like this. This one says The Matrix, a world within a world, a graphic representation of the databanks of every computer in the human system, a consensual hallucination experienced daily by billions of legitimate users in the sprawl alone, and by Case, computer cowboy, until his nervous system is grievously maimed by a client he double-crossed. Japanese experts in nerve splicing and microbionics have left him broke and close to dead. But at last, Case has found a cure. He's going back into the system, not for the bliss of the cyberspace, but to steal again, this time from the big boys, the almighty megacorps. In return, should he survive, he will stay cured. Cyberspace and virtual reality were invented in this book. It stands alongside 1984 and Brave New World as one of the 20th century's most potent novels of the future. So I've really heard this really good things about this one, and yeah, I am keen to get to some of the more sort of classic science fiction stories, so this one looks good. And again, following a similar pattern, You by Austin Grossman. This is about a man who has joined this company called Black Art Software, and at this company he's met up with past colleagues, people who he sort of created various different games and software with, but he soon realises that's not all it seems at this company, and he needs to go back through sort of virtual, it says real and virtual worlds, boardrooms, computer camps, rivalry and loss, in order to discover what's going on. So this sounds like a really fun adventure story involving computer games or virtual worlds as well. I have to admit, the next one I don't really know anything about. I picked it up from a charity shop because I've heard it talked a lot about, and that is The Quantum Thief by Hanu Rajanimi. This just looks weird on the front, but intriguing, and I'd heard really good things. All it says on the back is, as always, before the Warmind and I shoot each other, I try to make small talk. And it says The Quantum Thief is a dazzling hard science fiction novel set in the solar system of the far future, a heist novel peopled by bizarre post-humans but powered by very human motives of betrayal, revenge and jealousy. So it just sounds really, really good, and I haven't read very much hard science fiction at all, so this will be a first foray into this. So if you've read any of this, let me know your thoughts. So the final one is Leviathan Wakes by James A. Corey. This is blurbed as a kick-ass space opera by George R.R. Martin. So I don't think I can go wrong with this one. I love space opera. It seems to be my favourite science fiction sort of subgenre, and I love George R.R. Martin, so I can't wait to give this one a go. It sounds like it's a ship, and it comes across another ship that's derelict with some secrets aboard that they shouldn't find out, and then there's a war brewing and there's a girl missing, and it just sounds really, really fun and fast-paced. And this is the first book in a series, the Expanse series, so if I like this, there's plenty more to be getting on with. So have you read any of these? Can you recommend where to start for me? I'm hoping that they're all going to be good, but I've tried to find a place to start would be great. So let me know your thoughts, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye for now, BookTube.